that was known around the world as the Toronto target. Of course, Toronto endorsed it, so did many other cities. So did Jean Chrétien in Red Book 1 in 1993. He got the 20% right, he just got the direction wrong. He brought them up 20% by 2005, so that was clearly a disappointment, to put it mildly. But we can move ahead with cities showing leadership, and that has been happening around the world. When you think about the fact that in the United States, on the day that the Kyoto Protocol achieved its legal status, on February 16th, 2005, the mayor of Seattle, Greg Nickel, decided we should be Kyoto compliant as a city. We don't have to wait for the White House. And he started an effort which to date now has rounded up more than 200 cities in the United States, all committed to meeting their Kyoto targets. So cities play a big role, and Toronto as the city that set the first target should be in the lead. We also have a heritage of intellectual leadership from Jane Jacobs and her work. And we know that what we need, just as France said, is a policy alignment. We need what the municipalities are doing to be supported by good provincial tax laws, federal approaches that make sure that the funds are available, and that all of the levels of government work towards the same direction, working with their citizens to improve the quality of life. So I think primarily when you think about all the issues we've just heard from Keith and Richard and Debbie and Kevin and Greg and France, and we're talking about issues of air, transportation, food, water, energy, waste, and land, how striking it is that, of course, we shouldn't be surprised, they're all interconnected. Every single one of these is connected to the other. So if we have more rooftop gardens to grow more food, we also reduce the air conditioning demand in the building that has the rooftop garden. We reduce the energy crisis substantially by having rooftop gardens, and we improve the microclimate on the ground level by having gardens, which also help to catch the water so that we don't have, as Kevin described, these torrential impacts. And we also know that things are interconnected in the other way too, that as we ignore a problem, we make everything worse. And it needs to be said that one of the reasons we desperately need to redesign our sewers is that not only have we made things worse by bad development, but in a climate change scenario, the changed chemistry of our atmosphere already means that Canadian precipitation patterns have changed. Warmer air holds more moisture than colder air, and we are getting, as many of us have observed, more experiences of torrential rain, which means increasingly our out-of-date sewer systems are going to be transferring raw sewage into rivers. So all of these things are interconnected. The good news is that good decisions deliver multiple benefits because everything's interconnected. And the flip side of that is bad decisions deliver cascading damage, multiple bad impacts from bad decisions. So when we go to more nuclear reactors in Ontario, God help us, we get more tritium in our water, which isn't regulated properly, so there's a health impact, there's bad economic planning, and as my friend Dan McDermott, who runs Sierra Club chapter in Ontario, tried to put it over to Dwight Duncan some time ago, that building more nuclear reactors in Ontario did seem a lot like the captain of the Titanic trying to take another run at that iceberg. It's unbelievable that they'd even consider it. So if the provincial, municipal, and federal governments can all work together, obviously things will have cascading benefits instead of cascading problems. But as we list air, land, water, energy, we could just as equally list as interconnected in the same decisions culture, health, civility, survival, safety, security. All of these things pull together in a healthy, brilliant city. And the core of those things is implementing this plan. So it's not really an environment plan. It's a civilization plan. It's a survival plan. It's a Toronto's a smart city that everybody wants to come visit plan. It's an economic development plan. And I think sometimes we've all suffered in the environmental movement from having our issues dealt with as something that people might like to get to, politicians might like to get to, when they've done all the important stuff first. This is what comes first. If we don't deliver on this plan, we'll have a city in decay, we'll have a civilization in decay. Jane Jacobs was right. There could be a dark age ahead, but she was also right in saying it's not inevitable. It's going to be the result of the choices we make in this decade, the first decade of the 21st century. We have to show the leadership. We can do it here in Toronto. People have laid the groundwork for us with the Toronto Environmental Plan by whatever name. And the city councillors here, and those of you who are running for city council, who are prepared to make sure that this is implemented, never forget to make the case that this just isn't about reducing greenhouse gases, and this just isn't about reducing smog, and this isn't just about having healthier food available for people and the great things that Wayne Roberts does in terms of linking community gardens with soup kitchens for the homeless. This is about our survival. This is about making Toronto the kind of city that people flock to, because the quality of life will exceed that of any other North American city if this plan is executed and then taken to the next level. So good luck to all of you here, and thank you for allowing me to speak to the plan and to support you. A little more than 10 minutes. I've got these names. Okay.
There's going to be a slight change because apparently the names are too hard to read.
Oh,
so
okay.
somebody else is going to read it, but I'll just hang
All right,
around.
I'll get my stuff and get out of here.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.